Mike Hernandez was a bueno vaquero, rode some good horses, California style. I watched him for hours and he showed me a little of the old California he knew for a while. Started young horses in Bosal y Fiador, onto the Touraine, the old Spanish Spain. Brought them along with two hands that were gentle, some fine reining horses as ever were.
Well, Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to the first weekly roundup of the 2022 school year. And I hope all of you have had a blessed New Year's Eve and Christmas, and that this year is starting off strong for all of you. Some of you have probably already watched a couple of messages from me. I gave a COVID update before the first day of school on Monday, and then I also gave an electricity update yesterday. So I've been in front of you quite a bit, but today is the actual weekly roundup. We have a ton of things to go over today, a lot of important stuff, so grab yourself a cup of coffee, sit back and relax and enjoy the show. If you're driving, just put it on the side and put your speakers on, and we will be with you throughout. And Debbie, good morning. That photo is hilarious, isn't it? Kicking 2021 right out of here. It goes right with our theme. We're going to go into our 2022 years steam and full speed ahead. So welcome. So anyway, first off, I want to thank so many of you for all of your hard work yesterday. You're keeping your kids home sick. Good morning, Kat Fortney. How are you? It's great to see you. Thank you for tuning in today. We're glad that you are here. But like I was saying, so many of you are adhering to what we're asking. Your children are being kept home if they're not feeling well, if they're sick. You've called Christy, and everything worked seamless yesterday. I have to thank my office team for all of the hard work that they did in getting everything together. This is a crack squad right here, like Charlie's Angels, Sheriff P's deputies right there. They are doing a wonderful job of fielding all the phone calls, handling the tests, and getting everything done. So I just want to thank them for all of their hard work. Selena, Christy, and Barbara are working extremely diligently through this whole thing. And Selena has got re-enrollment going, and Christy's got the whole COVID corner process going. Yes, that's great. It's a pretty hilarious picture. Just to think I came into that and that was behind my desk one morning. What a shock I had, right? So anyway, welcome to the show. Let's get started right now, and let's start talking about some COVID stuff. So if you remember on Monday, I told you a little bit about the White House and Dr. Fauci saying that the majority of children that were being told that they have COVID that are in the hospital really aren't there because of COVID. They've come in because of tonsillectomies, broken arms, and then while they're there getting these things done, they're testing them positive for COVID, and that's how the COVID hospitalization numbers for children are driving up. Well, today, ABC Channel 7, most people with COVID in LA hospitals are actually admitted for something else, and the research went on to show that about 2/3, can you believe that? 66% of the patients in LA County ran hospitals are being admitted for other procedures, and then they're being found out that they have COVID, probably asymptomatic, and now they're being counted as COVID hospitalizations. So that just, it kind of helps you understand a little bit more about what exactly is going on out there with COVID. That some of the fear that we are hearing in the media is just being, the flames are being stoked, and people are in the hospital not because of COVID, but because of something else, and then they have the Omicron, which many subject matter experts are basically relating to the common cold. Now, that's not to say that COVID original is not out there and the Delta variant isn't there, but we just want to make sure that you are aware of what you're hearing in the news, and that's why I try to provide this information with you. Also, I told you that the CDC was going to be coming out with some additional information, and they did. And here was something else that they came out with. They are not going to require testing to be done on day 5. And their reasoning for that is that the CDC said the decision was based on data that negative rapid tests do not necessarily mean someone has stopped spreading the virus. What that means is you can be negative and still be sick, you just don't have the viral load. But on the opposite hand, they're saying that people with positive PCR tests, which is the most accurate test, because they continue to show positive results for weeks, maybe even months later, are not contagious, but they're showing that they're positive. So they're finding faults in the test both ways. We feel we have a pretty good handle on it here at GCS. We've seen so many cases and so many symptoms over the last 2 years that Christy and the team here is really good at knowing what we need to do to keep your students safe, to keep your students in school. And that is our primary goal throughout this entire process. I did want to put these back up here again. These are the quarantine requirements for COVID from the CDC, and it's basically if you've been boosted or you have the vaccine or the J&J, that you need to wear a mask when you're around other people for 10 days, and if possible, test at day 5. If you're not boosted or have a vaccine, they're asking you to stay home if possible and wear a mask if you're out in public. And if you can't quarantine, you must wear a mask for the 10 days. And then again, if possible, test on day 5. These are if you have come in contact with someone who tested positive. Remember what that means is you're around someone who has tested positive for COVID. You've been with them for over 15 minutes in an 8-hour period, and you have been within 6 feet of them. So that means that you have been in close contact with someone who has COVID. The next thing is, if you actually have COVID, you're supposed to stay home regardless of your vaccination status for 5 days. And if you have no symptoms, once your symptoms start to, if you have no symptoms or if you had them and they start to improve after day 5, you're free to go back outside. You just have to wear a mask for the next 5 days. So those are some things that I wanted to make sure I had out to you, that the CDC did not change its 5-day policy in regards to testing. Also, I talked to you a little bit about the state saying they were going to get us at-home test. Those have not arrived, and the most recent correspondence I saw was the state was not providing tests for private schools in the state. That would be religious, private, parochial, any type of school like that. They were not going to provide tests for, and they were only going to provide them for the public sector. And not most, but every public school I've talked to at this point has not received those tests either. So we're all in the same boat. School has already started back for us. So basically those tests really are not helpful at this point, because it was to allow a baseline to be set before that. That brings me to the next thing, was on some of these at-home tests that they were giving out, they ask you to register with Primary Health. That's the organization that we use. And we've always told you, even when we send you the registration and you choose to register for us to test your child, which you have to do, you do not have to answer all those questions. Many of them are intrusive, and really they don't need to know as far as things about your insurance and things like that. They just need to know your child's name, your address, the guardian's phone number and name, and that's the extent of it. We're not encouraging people to give any information that they do not feel comfortable with. And that's kind of, that's the whole COVID thing. But again, parents, thank you. You're doing the number one thing. You're keeping your kids home if they're sick. And we've heard a couple other schools now are starting to copy that theme and send it out to their parents. And we feel good that we're open and we have kids here and we're continuing the education process and moving right along. But that pretty much wraps up our COVID talk. I just want to make sure I have all my data taken care of. I do. And we're going to move on to the next great thing, and that is the Road Runner Ride. Some of you may say, hey, what's the Road Runner Ride? That is the preschool equivalent to Race for Grace. We let our preschoolers do Race for Grace, but Road Runner Ride is when they get to bring their tricycles, they get to bring their scooters and things like that, and they do kind of like a jogathon, but with bicycles instead. Last year, their goal was to help raise money along with Race for Grace for the playground. And they're doing a lot of great stuff. The kickoff is today for the Roadrunner ride. So if you are in preschool, these flyers have gone home. They're also available on our website. They kind of talk about the Roadrunner ride and how that works. So if you're a preschool parent, be looking for this, and it has gone home and it's out there. Next is re-enrollment. Re-enrollment packets went home yesterday. If you don't actively have the packet on your desk or in front of you, ask to see your kids' backpacks because it's in there somewhere. And you need to get those filled out and turned in. Yesterday, our first day back, I think Selena told me she had 25 people from the outside submit applications so that they could go on the waiting list that first day in February when we open up to the public. Remember, we allow all of our in-house families to re-enroll during the month of January. This also gives you the privilege of enrolling siblings during that re-enrollment period. So if you have a preschooler, they're able to get into our school and kindergarten. Or if you have a sibling that wasn't here for some reason, you have the opportunity to bring them in during the re-enrollment, pre-enrollment period. So that's kind of where we are with that. So I encourage you to get those in. You have the month of January to do that. And those packets are in your kids' backpacks if you haven't seen them. Last week, before we went out on break, we sent home these flyers for the Race for Grace t-shirt contest. And we are starting to get kids turning in designs. Boy, we have people working outside my office right now, so you're probably going to hear some pounding and things like that. And I apologize for that. It's kind of like everything seems to be getting done when we're back in school or when we're live, so it's really kind of funny. The t-shirt contest is going. I encourage all kids in kindergarten through 8th grade to create a design for the t-shirt and turn it in to their classroom teacher, and they'll get it in the office, and then we will be voting on those. If you look at the flyer, January 11th is the last day to turn those designs in so that we can use them for the judging. Remember I told you about Roadrunner Ride and they were raising funds for the playground? Well, the playground remodel has started. And they were out there yesterday starting to disassemble the old kindergarten playground. And they've gotten all the platforms out. Right now in the background, you can probably hear a tractor going. They're out there doing all the digging and things like that, getting ready for the new structure to go in. Kind of like how that's going to look is the structure is going to be put in, and then about 2 weeks later, they're going to be coming through, getting ready to prep for the AstroTurf. And at that point, a new shed is going to be coming in. A new AstroTurf is going to be coming, and then once that project's completed, a couple weeks later, excuse me, we're going to be going with the new slurry sealing for the asphalt in the kindergarten area and preschool area, and they're going to do the repaint. Looks like we have about 25 people viewing right now. It's good to see everyone. I appreciate you tuning in to the weekly roundup. I'm Sheriff P. I don't think I introduced myself at the very beginning, and I apologize for that. So anyway, the next thing I want to talk to you about is our phone system. Our phone system was down yesterday because of an electrical issue, and that pounding you're hearing right now is them working on correcting that issue with some wires and everything. So our phones were running intermittently, and so if you were calling and you weren't getting through, that is why. Whenever we have something like that happen, we'll use YouTube to send out a blast to all of you so you're able to know exactly what's happening here at school. And in addition, we will post things in the marquee section of our website that gives you an update. So all of our phone stuff should be taken care of today, hopefully by 2 o'clock, and we'll be up and running as if nothing happened. That is another good reason why you should be subscribing to the YouTube channel so you can get instant notification if you ring the bell whenever we're going live with something. The next thing, thank you, Gina Kang, we greatly appreciate it. Mrs. Kang donated about 6 cases of sanitary wipes that we can use in the classroom and hand wipes that we have throughout, so we can wipe desks down and wipe furnitures down. And we can't thank you enough for donating those supplies to us. they will be put to good use, and they will continue with our inventory so that we're never operating behind the 8 ball. Next thing I want to talk to you about is pictures. Those set of pictures that you saw at the beginning of the weekly roundup, that was a big student. That was me. I was riding Nellie the white horse, and Texas the brown horse, and those are in the trails in Norco, California. And yes, I do ride horses just like the pictures of the other kids that we set up and things like that. But if you want your picture submitted, here's our email address, roundup@gcsrr.org. That's roundup@gcsrr.org. Attach your pictures, and we will put them in the rotation to get on the weekly roundup. Next thing I want to tell you is Mr. John Garius would just like to tell you thank you very much for all the love that you have shown his family over the last few weeks. I just ask that you continue to keep him and Robin and the entire John Garius family in your prayers as the weeks and months and years ahead, just to let them know that they are loved. And he greatly appreciates it, and he asked me to extend his thanks to all of you for the kind cards and the comments that he's received. The next thing I want to talk to you about is something that we started as a fluke like 3 years ago. We did a Valentine's Seas candy thing. And you can't believe the number of parents who have said, thank you for doing it, because it's kind of alleviated the hassle of running to Seas Chocolate to get some candy or to Target. It's automatically shipped to you, and you have your Valentine's gift built in. We're doing that again this year. It's very low pressure. It's out there. We put this out here as a convenience to you, and as a result of the convenience, we do make something off of it. Seas Candy donates money back for every purchase to the schools. So that's out there for you if you choose to use it, and that information will be coming out sometime this week. If you are in junior high, volleyball and basketball, volleyball for the ladies and basketball for the boys, is starting up with tryouts and everything like that. So yes, we're going back to live sports, and hopefully we will have other teams that we are able to play as we continue on through this year. The next thing I want to talk to you about is many of your students might be coming home telling you, hey, there's some new things in our classrooms. This is for our 4th grade on up. We've got brand new interactive boards that our 4th grade through 8th grade will be using in selected classes that really provide an additional layer of education for us. And it really is state of the art. And we'll be showing you a video about this as we get a little bit more trained on it over the next few weeks. And I believe at the end of February, we have a training set up so all of our teachers are able to go through, once they're a little more familiar with it, to understand how to fully utilize all of this new technology that we have in the classroom. So that's something fun that's going in. Also, I may have mentioned that in our lower grades, K through 3rd, we have installed new 75-inch display monitors so that as we use document cameras and things like that, every child in the classroom has basically a cinema view of what the teacher is doing on the board. So that's out there. Well, parents, that wraps up another weekly roundup, and we are finishing week 20 of school, and this year is flying by. There's some other great things around the corner for us. The Washington, D.C. trip for our 8th graders, the Sacramento trip for our 4th graders, you name it. So many fun things are ahead, and this is an exciting time of the year as we get going. Don't forget to be practicing those talent show acts. That'll be coming down the road also. But hey, parents, thank you for tuning in. We're at 27 viewers right now. I hope you enjoyed the show. And like always, until we see you down the trails, be safe, and may God bless each of your families. Have a great day, everyone.
Got a bit of $50,